The cinematic narrative genre of games is evolving. As motion capture tech improves, big-name actors are starting to perform and headline in games that offer significant roles.
Until Dawn is a survival horror game with a strong narrative focus. And a cast of film actors, including Hayden Panettiere and Peter Stormare.
You have to accept this in order to move forward.
In the vein of something like I Know What You Did Last Summer or Final Destination, it's basically a slasher movie where you make all the decisions for the unsuspecting teens trapped at an isolated ski lodge.
It's your phone.
What?
Slasher buffs settle in for every possible teen horror cliche that you could possibly imagine. Until Dawn draws on all those classic archetypes. The lovers,
Maybe I know how to handle you too.
Ouija boards,
Are you moving it?
creepy noises in the basement,
Wait, okay, so you hear them too, right?
not to mention, wait for it, an old abandoned mine and a creepy sanatorium right next to the ski lodge for some reason.
The game begins with the gruesome death of twins Beth and Hannah during a trip away with a group of friends.
Hannah!
1 year later, the twins' brother invites everyone back to the ski lodge to try and reconnect and move past the tragedy.
This place barely looks any different.
Yeah, nobody's been up here.
Even with all the police coming in and out?
But the girl's death was never explained, and pretty soon it becomes apparent that there may be something lurking there that wishes them all ill. Obviously. Despite being cliches wrapped in more cliches, from the supernatural to the psycho, it does a pretty good job of tangling the story up in some ridiculous and incredible red herrings.
What the hell?
Boom. You just got mugged.
The game sets a very tense mood from the moment you pick up the controller, doesn't it?
Yeah, that cable car ride through the fog up the mountain.
Adventure begins.
Oh, I hope this was the right thing to do.
I mean, if your only way in or out of a location is via cable car, then you know that death is in your future.
Action takes place in the form of basic movement and quick-time events as you play out this more story-driven experience. Similar to 2013's Beyond Two Souls.
Yeah, and likewise, Until Dawn really is a game about choice. Decisions both moral and spontaneous are thrown at you at every turn.
You can take that gun in front of you and shoot Ashley, or you can shoot yourself.
Yes, and sometimes you're given time to consider. Other times, they take the form of split-second quick-time events that can have huge repercussions.
God damn it.
Yeah, and it's hard to predict just how much weight each choice will have. I mean, sometimes choosing whether to run or hide or whether you miss an obstacle or not will determine whether a character lives or dies.
But at other times, the choices seem to have no effect at all. For example, one of the very first choices I made in the prologue was to either run after the twin sister or wake the brother. But he didn't wake up, so I just ran for the door anyway. This didn't bode well for the apparent multi-branching story tree the game boasts.
Well, I think that was really more just part of the tutorial. Throughout this whole experience, you make choices that you know have significant effect because this butterfly icon pops up, letting you know that you've made a choice that will affect the overall story.
Yeah, that butterfly motif is very laboured throughout the game.
Cool.
But it is essentially the concept of the butterfly effect in play, where tiny decisions can have huge impact.
On, we gotta go!
I just felt it was either inconsistent or overly obvious.
Well, I disagree. I mean, I think you could get multiple playthroughs out of this game because there are just so many changes as to how it could go. And it's really hard to orchestrate the way you want it to go because so many of the decisions are reflex-based.
Hey!
I have to say, I love the way they used QuickTime events in this game.
Yeah, they're cleverly used, especially those moments that involve knee-jerk reactions. But using them for scaling walls and climbing and that sort of thing, I just think that's tedious and I could have done without it.
I do love that all the QuickTime events are tied in with a sound cue, though. That's super helpful. And it also comes out of the speaker on the PS4 controller.
I loved those moments where you have to hold the controller really still and not move.
Oh God, please don't come this way.
It's such a smart way to tie a game action in with a real horror movie moment.
Plus, all the motion capture and the animation is just incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And the way they've used the lighting in particular is beautiful. The game is very dark, of course, very spooky, but the way each scene is lit brings everything to life.
We're like in a movie right now?
If we are, I hope it's a rom-com.
And I think for games like this where there's so much dialogue and character interaction, taking the time to really capture all those subtle nuances of the actors' performances and all their various facial reactions is really important.
Josh, no hot water's kind of major oversight, don't you think?
And I found myself being quite drawn in by it all.
Yeah, me too. Although they're a little awkwardly placed within the environments, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, the environments are very large. You're moving characters around some pretty big spaces, so it does at times feel like there's a disconnect between character and setting.
I was reminded again of Beyond Two Souls, which also had awkward controls.
I think because these games are so cinematic, the camera angles are fixed and you'll often find yourself moving towards the camera into spaces that you can't actually see, but you get used to that.
But with the camera changing perspectives on me when I was in the forest or in the tunnels, I found I'd get confused and a bit lost.
I think I can handle a little old set of stairs.
Yeah, you do kind of get turned around a little bit.
It's a bit like those old Resident Evil games, isn't it? Mostly though, it's the lack of control that just made me feel trapped. I do get that it's kind of a necessity to this genre, because all these shots need to transition into pre-rendered animations as you pick things up and interact. But it's such a passive way to play a game.
Yeah, but I think the controls are so cleverly designed to just seamlessly transition those movements that I didn't find it frustrating.
I did.
Okay, fine. All right, well, without spoiling anything, let's talk a little bit more about the story, because I think that's where this game is potentially going to lose a lot of people.
Oh my God! There! Look there, Chris! You can't tell me you didn't see that! See?
It's pretty bad.
I mean, it's true to the genre.
The writing is just so average. And the characters are all terribly one-dimensional. I know that classic stereotypes you would see in those movies,
Free country. Watch yourself, Mike.
but that's why all those movies are bad. The game clumsily sets up characters that you meant to like and dislike very quickly. The sleazy jock,
What's up, party people?
the nice nerdy guy,
It's kind of weird being back up here.
the bitchy girl.
At least I can think. 4.0, bitch. On a roll. Suck on that when you're trying to sleep your way into a job.
Who needs grades when you've got all the natural advantages you can handle?
Well, the thing I found odd was making decisions for all of them, because I typically want everyone to be nice to each other and get along. So as soon as I had control of the jock, he suddenly became Mr. Sensitive, and I really liked him.
Am I doing something wrong?
No. I mean, I thought you were one way, but you're kinda another way. If that makes sense, it's not your fault.
Jess? I really like you.
So it was like all the characters started acting like the same person because they were me.
Oh, once a jerk, always a jerk, Hex.
Yeah, but he looks like Nathan Drake.
Jess! Jess!
How was that relevant?
Well, it's not really, but regardless, you find yourself having to make choices very quickly and take sides with people. And unbeknownst to you, you're setting each and every one of those characters on a path that will eventually decide who lives and who dies.
I feel like the choices that matter are really only the ones you make at the end. It comes down to whether or not you make that QuickTime event, or go left or go right.
Well, I don't know that that's true. I mean, I can't say for sure without replaying the whole thing from the start. But when you go back through all of your butterfly effect choices, you can see moments where you had the options of giving an item to another character. That would have meant that character would have had something to defend themselves with, things like that. I actually think the mechanic was really cool. And I was skeptical, but your choices absolutely do have significant weight.
You also find totems throughout the game that work like little warnings or premonitions of things to come. But depending on your choices, there are outcomes that may be avoided. I actually really liked this idea, Hex, but I found for the most part they were pretty redundant.
Yeah, I think just as a concept it needs a little work. No, I mean, there were some deja vu moments where I saw something that I remembered seeing before, and I did get that feeling of being caught up in some fatalistic design.
What about the choices you make in the therapist's office?
Oh. Interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah, all that stuff was a bit weird, wasn't it? I mean, it is explained in the story, but I could have also been happy without it.
Well, it's interesting, because at one point it seems to be used as a device to obtain information about which characters you care about and what freaks you out personally.
Clowns and gore?
Yes, clowns, and then they start popping up in the game. Coincidence? Feels a bit like cheating, doesn't it? Asking you what you're scared of in order to scare you with it.
I actually think it's really clever. I mean, I was genuinely terrified. It plays on a deeper level of fear. Plus, the jump scares are good.
This is bad. We've got to get her out of here.
Can I just say, though, that therapist guy kind of reminded me of the guy from that old board game from the 90s, Nightmare.
So, you want to play the game?
Oh, I loved Nightmare.
Yes, didn't he remind you of that? Popping up occasionally, being all like, so you want to play my game?
So, you have committed to commence with this game.
It's pretty funny and so over the top. In spite of the hilariously shallow characters and insanely ridiculous story, I was enjoying this at the beginning.
Sick.
The game is about 10 hours, with there being 10 hours until dawn, so it's a pretty decent length, but as it was drawing to the end, Hex, I was kind of ready for everyone just to hurry up and die already. I just wanted it to be over.
Well, this almost lost me in the middle because I'm just a massive wuss and can't handle torture porn. Clowns and gore, but I was actually really invested in my decisions, and my desire to save as many people as possible was unwavering, Bajo.
Yeah, how'd that work out for you?
Yeah, not great.
You gotta go, okay?
But I cared enough to want to go back and replay bits to try again. I'm actually really excited by this genre, Bajo. And as ridiculous as the story was, I just gave myself over to the schlockiness of it.
So you really liked this?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I may cop some hate for this, but I did like it. Similar to Beyond Two Souls, I wouldn't want to play something this passive all the time, but I'm just interested how this narrative cinematic genre is kind of becoming a thing now.
I don't know, I got a lot more out of Beyond Two Souls than I did from this. This is a teen scream slasher porn with a bad script.
You jerks! Hannah!
I agree that there are some well-done mechanics, and I love how cinematic this game is, but mostly I was frustrated by this experience, so I have to give it 2 stars.
Harsh. Okay, I'm giving it 3.5 stars. No! That sucks.
Gotta fire up the generator so you can see where you're going. It's dark out there.
All right. Roger that.
I think Josh was flirting with me.
Okay. You want to invite him up with us?
Wait, really?
What? No.